Welcome. Today I'm going to show you how to install Windows 7. You're going to do this by changing the boot order to ensure that your computer can boot off a disk, and then you would insert your Windows 7 installation disk, and from there you would turn on your computer, let the disk load, which is what we're doing right now, and once it loads we'll go ahead and proceed through the installation process. If you don't know how to change your BIOS, please check out my other video that will show you how to quickly change the BIOS. That's a 2-minute video. So it's very quick. It's just a quick setting you have to make. It doesn't mean the disk doesn't work or your computer's not working right. It's just something that has to be done because the manufacturer will often change the hard drive as the first boot device, which will automatically ignore any disk you put in the drive. So once we load up Windows 7, we'll be at the Install Windows screen, which is what you see here. Now you're just going to pick your default language. Most likely the defaults will work for you. You can go ahead and hit Next, and we're going to click Install Now. Now there are repair options on here too, but we're not going to cover those right now. So if you're using like a master disk such as this one, you'll want to take a look at your product key. That is a sticker attached to your computer, and it will say something like Windows 7 Home Premium. And if you have a 64-bit computer, it'll say 64-bit. And that corresponds, 64-bit corresponds to the x64 architecture. And if it does not display 64-bit on your product key, then it's automatically 32-bit, which is x86 architecture. Okay? Now it's very important that you choose the correct version because the version and the key are paired. So if you don't have the right combination, you won't proceed past the installation screen. So take a look at it. Remember, if it has 64-bit, use x64. If it doesn't say 64-bit, it's automatically 32, which would be the first few in this list, the x86. And then there you'll see duplicate versions, but these are the 64-bit version. So in this case, I'm going to install Windows 7 Home, and I'm going to do x86 architecture, which is 32-bit. Go ahead and hit Next. Accept the agreement. Hit Next. And we're going to do Custom. Now Custom allows us to repartition the drives. So if you have an existing version of Windows on there, you'll want to delete that partition, and then you can go ahead and create a new partition, which essentially doesn't actually wipe out the data, but it kind of marks it for delete. The data is still there. Some of it would be ruined, but you could recover that with recovery software, which we can talk about in a later video. So I'm going to hit New here, and I'm going to let the wizard do the work. I'm going to pick all the available space and hit Apply, and it's going to tell me that it needs to create some other partitions for it to work correctly, so I'm going to say OK. Those would be like the boot partition, things like that. So now I have two partitions now. One was created automatically by the installer. I want to choose the one that's already highlighted with the largest amount of space. See, this one's only 100 megabytes. This one is 59 gigabytes. So that's where I want to install Windows. So I'll just hit Next. And now the installation is going. Now, one other thing I didn't note is that if you had Windows 7 installed and it was still working, and you changed your BIOS to have Windows 7 disk boot first, you might be prompted to press a key to boot from the disk. So make sure you watch the screen. If you see that message, go ahead and hit the key so you can load up Windows, and then that will take you to the initial screen you saw in this video. So if you're struggling to get there, that's how you would do it. So now we're going to just let this installation chug away. And once it's done, we'll just have to go and do the couple final options. Now when you're done doing your installation, you often have to install your drivers. Now the drivers are the software that communicates between your hardware, like your webcam, your monitor, your video card, any other add-on hardware that you might have in your system. Now, if you have a Dell or a Compaq and you haven't made any changes to it, then likely all the drivers you're going to need are out on Dell or HP's website. So you would access the manufacturer of your computer's website and you'd click support, and usually it's download drivers. So you would just go ahead and download those drivers, and if you don't have internet when you first get into Windows after doing the reinstallation, which is a very common issue because the network card does not have the proper driver loaded in order to make it work. So you might need to use a secondary computer with like a flash drive or a memory card or external hard drive, whatever you got, and you would download all those drivers for your model, and you would just basically search. See, there's the message we talked about. So we've already done the installation, and now it's just finishing up and loading for the first time. Again, about the drivers though, you go to their website, grab those drivers, bring them over to the computer you're reinstalling with, and then just go one by one and install them. So here we go, we got the setup wizard finishing up some things, and we're getting ready to start the computer. This should only be a couple more minutes and then we'll be done here. So I want to remind you too that if you need a disk that you don't have, you can check in my description here for a website where I purchased mine, and you can go ahead and I'll try to add a watermark in the top of the video with their web address. But they've been really good. I've bought from them a few times, and I have different items, and I'm definitely going to share my videos with them as well so that they can provide them to their customers. So once your drivers are done, you'll want to consider the software that you had on there. And I'll show you where to go and look to check your drivers. Once you download them all and you start installing them, everything will kind of fall into place and you'll have your system set up. Now that might be the point where you decide, hey, I want to make a backup of all the drivers. Typically I would wait until you have all the basic software you want. Like in general, you need an archiver like WinZip, or you can use the free 7-zip at 7zip.org. If you need a good video player that plays every type of video, go look for VLC. And you'll notice the computer reboots a few times during this process. That's all normal. If you need an office suite, I know that website has some good options that are very inexpensive and compatible with Microsoft Office. So you can certainly get some of those, and if you need help with finding applications to replace stuff you had, just send me a comment in this video and I'll certainly help you out. So now it wants to know what we want to call this computer. So I'm going to be original and call it PC, and that's going to be my username, and that is going to be the PC's name on the network. So we'll go ahead and hit next, and I'm not going to put a password in. You very well might want to. You can put a hint up here, and then so if you don't want to put a password, just go ahead and hit next. And now it wants my product key. So this is where I would put my product key in, but for now I'm just going to say skip, and I'm going to say ask me later on the settings, make sure I have my time zone right, and hit next. And in about a few seconds we should be at our desktop. Now when we get in here, I'll show you, here's where you would want to go. After you get this set up and installed, you're going to want to go click on the File Explorer, and you'll go to Computer and right click, and you're going to hit Manage, and under the left pane we have Device Manager. And you can see I have one item that is not installed, so this is what I'm going to need to find a driver for. Now you may also see in your list that, hey, my display adapter is showing that it's already installed. If you're going to download the drivers from the website, from your manufacturer's website, grab them all for the operating system that you're using and install them all, because this disk can oftentimes put generic drivers to make it work, but it's not going to work as well as it would if it had the proper driver. So take the time to get those and install them, and your computer will perform better because of it, in most cases at least. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave me a comment. Thanks.